WIFL is a workers' organization which was established in 1970. Formerly, it was called Windward Islands Federation of Labor, and in recent times, because of the change of St. Martin's status, we had a foresight of that, and we changed the name to reflect what the union is doing right now to be called the Workers' Institute for Organized Labor. So it is a workers' organization, primarily for the protection of workers' rights and for the training of workers. Unionism is the solidarity or the coming together of workers to champion their cause, their interests, whether it's be job security, working conditions on the job to be improved, better wages and benefits. Workers come together for this common cause, and that is where we get the term unionism, or to be unionized. Workers come together in solidarity. When someone comes to work or goes to work or is employed by the employer, it is usually based on an agreement, verbally or written. And so that becomes an individual working agreement, an individual contract. When the union is in that company, that is the workers coming together to be organized, then the union pursue what is called now a collective labor agreement, or in brief, a CLA. A CLA supersedes the individual contract. As long as workers are organized and the union pursue that goal, then the individual contract no longer valid, and so the CLA takes its place, which is the collective labor agreement for all workers. Unionism on St. Martin has a number of challenges, but for me, for WIFL, one of the biggest, some of the biggest challenges, I must say, the outsourcing of employment to employment agencies, whereby workers are not guaranteed job security, protection of wages and benefits, and so that's the challenge for unions. The next thing on St. Martin, there is a government policy where companies are awarded their business license with the condition that for the first 10 years, they don't have to pay any tax or profit returns, as the case may be. So most companies at the end of that 10-year period, they close down or go into forced bankruptcy or superficial bankruptcy. And by that, workers are being laid off, they have no more income, and the laws doesn't protect them fully. They might receive some, what you call cessante payment from the SFV, but that's about it. The businesses continue, change the name, but there's no guarantee of work. And so that's a challenge for the union to maintain employment, job security for workers at the end of that 10-year period. Maintaining jobs for workers has been the main challenge for WIFL and for us. And in saying that, job security is important. When you make decisions, you try to make sure that persons keep their job. Keeping their job for us, if a person doesn't have their job, then it affects not only themselves but their family. So for us, the big challenge is to keep the jobs, secure the jobs, make sure that they receive the adequate amount of fringe benefits proportionately that the company can afford, and work along to make sure working conditions and other important factors try to keep the worker on the job and safe and secure with benefits. Those are challenges that we try to keep in focus and maintain. So we have had a few union leaders. To name a few, we had Albert Peters, who was one of the first. We had Winnie Richardson, we had Willie Hayes, we had Patricia Pontefet, Clay Elshot.
Now every man's cup is filled with hate and overflowing. Father, I know things are going wrong, yeah. It's wickeder than before. We really check so we could have run things, but it not look so anymore.
Has a very interesting historical period in terms of workers' job security. The latest struggle with regards to Pelican workers was when the management company, through their financial institution, acquired the property. And it all started when the developer went into bankruptcy in the first instance, and the union, working with the curator or the trustees, managed to save the jobs of the rank and file workers.
So we could have run things, but it not look so anymore. No, come down, Father, come down. Come down, Father.
The union was able to keep the line employees in place, mostly its members. The owners at the time acquired the property, so instead of having a single owner, the timeshare owners became the owners. They, in turn, employ another resort management company to run the resort for them. That management company, known as Royal Resorts, from out of Cancun, Mexico, they managed the place for a long time. The place needed to be upgraded, and so instead of going to a local bank, they themselves had their own financial institution, and they get the institution to loan the resort the monies needed to expansion, for expansion and to upgrade.
Watching the time, how the people are moving, and murmuring to myself, wish it never had to be the way I see this world running. Shouldn't have to be, 'cause now every man's cup is filled with hate and overflowing. Father, I know.
In 2008, there was an election, and there was a shift where those homeowners who wanted Royal Resorts to be out, they got a majority on the board, including the presidency. And so they put a pause on the payment to the financial institution from Royal Resorts until they can do their own auditing and investigation. During the time of non-payment, the bank gave them numerous warnings, which they refused to comply with, and eventually the bank foreclosed. And so the property was up for auction, the bank bought the property, and the Wild Resorts remained managing, but the new owners now became Quantum Investment, which is Wild Resorts Financial Institution. When that happened, the homeowners carried Wild Resorts to court, saying it was a conspiracy. The homeowners lost the court case because the verdict summarized that they were part of the decision-making body, the board, that had to do with the loan investment and transaction. So they lost the case. Prior to that, I must say that both homeowners and the management company came to the union seeking support publicly. The union refused to support any one of them publicly because as far as the union is concerned, that wasn't our struggle. The workers were still employed, still working. From the purchase to the new company, the workers never stopped work, they keep on working. And at the end of the fourth court case, when the Wild Resorts won, they felt in a way to revenge the union by saying, we're going to lay off all the workers since we are now the new owners, we want to have a new agreement. The union opposed that. We called in the mediator agreed with us. We went to court to force them to keep the workers because at a certain point they closed the resort and so the workers were locked out, which was contrary to the collective labor agreement that we had with them. No workers can be locked out by the company. We went to court, we won the first court case. Matter of fact, we won 2 court cases, all on St. Martin, the court of first instance. But when it went to the appeal court, the judges, I must say, ruled that the employees are still employees of Pelican Resort Club because of the law. There's a law which we have in the Netherlands Antilles and in St. Martin now that doesn't give that continuation or that continuity of workers' employment with a new company with the same conditions. In the meantime, though, that law is in Holland, where workers can have continuation or continuity regardless of the change of hands. That was not the case here in St. Martin, and so that was the main battle for the union against Royal Resorts, who then became known as Simpson Bay Resort, that the employees are your employees. And our main point was that the employees remain employed with Simpson Bay Resort, even though Simpson Bay Resort, even the Pelican Resort was no longer in existence, because Royal Resorts keep the workers still working, paying them their salaries, that they are their employer now. Here in St. Martin, like I said before, the judges or the judge in the first instance agreed with the union position and our lawyer's position. Only this appeal court disagreed with that. And so we had to abandon our court pursuit, lack of finance, because it means that we had to go to Holland to redeem our rights. That was too expensive, and so we couldn't pursue that. But in the meantime, though, I must say that the homeowners went back to court and apparently using a portion of our verdict decision, they won the court case. And so the whole transaction of sales was reversed, and the homeowners reclaimed the resort as their resort. And so that also, I think, right now is in appeal, and when things goes into appeal, it remains status quo. So the union is still not giving up on its struggle and its challenge, because even though the workers are back on the job, and like I said, we make sure that job security is one of our priority. We were able to, before the last court verdict, with pressure on both government, because government never supported us, both pressure on government and Royal Resorts, the workers went back on the job, even though they went back on short-term contract. But just before the last verdict from the appeal court, they made everybody permanent. So we're glad for that, that almost everybody is back on the job, except some 47 persons who are mostly elderly that they refused to take back. They got back their job, and the union is still continuing to challenge the employment, previous employment, benefits, and years of service payment towards those workers. That's a challenge, that's a struggle that is continuing. We're just waiting to see what will be the result of the appeal court between the homeowners and Quantum Investment, and then we'll move forward with that. But that is basically, in summary, the Pelican Resort, Simpson Resort drama.
It's really like what it's really like to face real ghetto pain, to face real ghetto pressure.